Good day and welcome to our review for psychologists and psychometricians board exam. At this point, we will be focusing on theories of personality. We will have 20 questions for this session, so please prepare paper and pen to answer the drill. Ready ka na ba? Let's start! Theories of personality review questions. Number 1. Firstborn children, according to Adler, are likely to A. Suffer from organ inferiorities. B. Communicate in organ dialect more than the second-born children. C. Have intensified feelings of power and superiority. Or D. Have a very little anxiety. Number 2. The most reliable means of revealing style of life is A. The word association test. B. Early recollections. C. Free association. Or D. Hypnosis. Number 3. Sullivan's Zodiac group served as A. An informal discussion group of professionals interested in the social sciences. B. A research group to investigate his interest in astrology. C. A forum for training hospital attendants in the care of schizophrenic. Or D. A source of financial support for his research on treating schizophrenia. Number 4. In Sullivan's theory, tensions are two kinds, needs and blank. A. Meta-needs. B. Wants. C. Anxiety. Or D. Tenderness. Number 5. This is characterized by feeling that one is living among one's enemy. A. Malevolent transformation. B. Isolating dynamism. C. Paranoid personification. And D. Schizoid self-system. Number 6. An infant's experiences of the mothering one's punishment and disapproval lead to the development of the blank personification. Is it A. Not me? B. Good me? C. Bad me? Or D. Good mother? Number 7. During childhood, a child may invent playmates. Sullivan called these imaginary playmates as A. Sublimation. B. Juvenile. C. Ghosts. Or D. Eidetic. Number 8. To Sullivan, a 12-month-old infant boy who enjoys playing with his genitals would be A. Satisfying zonal needs. B. Satisfying general needs. C. Increasing anxiety. Or D. Experiencing Oedipus complex. Number 9. Jane is married to an abusive husband but refuses to admit that he has a serious problem. Sullivan would refer to this process as A. Dissociation. B. Syntactic distortion. C. Selective inattention. Or D. Masochism. Number 10. Horney's theory is built mainly on her writings about A. Psychoses and psychotic people. B. Neuroses or neurotic people. C. Normality and normal people. Or D. Self-actualizing people. Number 11. Horney believed that people are governed by two guiding principles. Is it A. Sex and aggression. B. Avoidance and attraction. C. Safety and satisfaction. Or D. Superiority and inferiority. Number 12. Horney sees the tendency to humiliate others in order to protect oneself against humiliation is A. Power. B. Prestige. C. Possession. Or D. dominance. Number 13. Jose is constantly belittling his own accomplishment and he dreads asking others for favors. This illustrates Horney's neurotic need A. For affection and approval, B. For a partner, C. To restrict one's life within narrow borders, or D. For self-sufficiency and independence. Number 14. Sally is proud of her intellectual skills and abilities, and she is pleased when others notice and admire her superior intelligence. This reflects Horney's neurotic need for A. Affection and approval, B. Independence, C. Prestige, or D. Personal admiration. Number 15. Our capacity to be aware of ourselves as a separate entity from calls the need for A. Self-awareness, B. A sense of identity, C. Transcendence, or D. A frame of orientation. Number 16. According to Fromm, to keep from going insane, one's frame of orientation must include A. Consistent information, B. Inconsistent information, C. A final goal, or D. A simple structure. Number 17. Fromm asserted that historically, as people gained more economic and political freedom, they felt more A. Isolation, B. Dominance, C. Transcendence, or D. Malignant aggression. Number 18. Ariel is careful with his money and rarely shares her thoughts or emotions with others. His behavior illustrates Fromm's blank orientation. Is it A. Marketing, B. Hoarding, C. Receptive, or D. Exploitative? Number 19. Fromm uses the term necrophilia to refer to A. Sexual perversion with a corpse, B. Sexual perversion with feces, C. An irrational desire to die, and D. Any attraction to death. And number 20. Fromm regarded Adolf Hitler as the world's most famous conspicuous example of a person suffering from A. Psychosis, B. Moral hypochondriasis, C. Existential dilemma, or D. The syndrome of decay. And now for answers and explanation. Number 1. Firstborn children, according to Adler, are likely to. The answer is letter C. Have intensified feelings of power and superiority. Firstborn children, according to Adler, are likely to have intensified feelings of power and superiority, high anxiety, and overprotective tendency. Firstborn children occupy a unique position, being an only child for a time and then experiencing a traumatic dethronement when a younger sibling is born. This event dramatically changes the situation and the child's view of the world. Number 2. The most reliable means of revealing style of life is. The answer? Letter B. Early recollection. Adlerian therapy uses birth order, early recollection, and dreams to foster courage, self-esteem, and social interest. Next, number 3. Sullivan Zodiac Group serve as. The answer is letter A. An informal discussion group of professionals interested in the social sciences. On a more positive note, Sullivan has his residence in New York and brought him in contact with several psychiatrists and social scientists, among which are Karen Horney, Erich Fromm, Frida Fromm-Richman, Clara Thompson, and others. And these are called the Zodiac Group. Number 4. In Sullivan's theory, tensions are two kinds, needs and the answer is anxiety. Sullivan recognized two types of tension. These are needs and anxiety. Needs usually result in productive action, whereas anxiety leads to non-productive or disintegrative behavior. Number 5. This is characterized by the feeling that one is living among one's enemies. The answer is letter A, malevolent transformation. Malevolence is the disjunctive dynamism of evil and hatred, characterized by the feelings of living among one's enemy. Next number. An infant's experiences of the mothering one's punishment and disapproval lead to the development of the blank personification. The answer, letter C, bad me. The bad me personification is fashioned from experiences of punishment and disapproval that infants received from their mothering one. The resulting anxiety is strong enough to teach infants that they are bad, but it is not so severe as to cause the experience to be dissociated or selectively inattended. Number 7. During childhood, a child may invent playmates. Sullivan called these imaginary playmates as letter D, eidetic. Because not all interpersonal relationship with real people. Some are eidetic personification. That is, unrealistic traits or imaginary friends that many children invent in order to protect their self-esteem. Number 8. To Sullivan, a 12-month-old infant boy who enjoys playing with his genitals would be letter A, satisfying a zonal need. The mouth satisfies general needs by taking in food and oxygen, but it also satisfies the zonal need for oral activity. Number 9. Jane is married to an abusive husband but refuses to admit that he has a serious problem. Sullivan would refer to this process as letter C, selective inattention. Selective inattention is a refusal to see those things that we do not wish to see. Number 10. Horney's theory is built mainly on her writings about letter B, neuroses and neurotic people. Horney's writings are concerned mostly with neurotic personality. Many of her ideas can also be applied to normal individuals. Number 11. Horney believed that people are governed by the two guiding principles, and these are letter C, safety and satisfaction. Children need to experience both genuine love and healthy discipline. Such conditions provide them with feelings of safety and satisfaction and permit them to grow in accordance with their real self. Number 12. Horney sees the tendency to humiliate others in order to protect oneself against humiliation as letter B, prestige. Neurotic may also try to protect themselves by striving for power, prestige, or possession. Prestige is a protection against humiliation and is expressed as tendency to humiliate others. Number 13. Jose is constantly belittling his own accomplishment and he dreads asking others for favors. This illustrates Horney's neurotic need, letter C, to restrict one's life within the narrow borders. The neurotic need to restrict one's life within the narrow borders strives to remain inconspicuous, to take second place, and to be content with very little. They downgrade their own abilities and dread making demands on others. Number 14. Sally is proud of her intellectual skills and abilities, and he is pleased with others notice and admire her superior intelligence. This reflects Horney's neurotic need for D, personal admiration. And the neurotic need for personal admiration have a need to be admired for what they are rather than for what they possess. Their inflated self-esteem must be continually fed by the admiration and approval of others. Number 15, our capacity to be aware of ourselves as a separate entity from calls this need for letter B, and a sense of identity. And that is the fourth human need, a sense of identity, or the capacity to be aware of ourselves as a separate entity. Number 16, according to Fromm, to keep from going insane, one's frame of mind orientation must include letter C, a final goal. A roadmap without a goal or destination is worthless. Humans have the mental capacity to imagine many alternative paths to follow. To keep from going insane, however, they need a final goal or object of devotion. Number 17. Fromm asserted that historically, as people gained more economic and political freedom, they felt more A. Isolation. Number 18. Ariel is careful with his money and rarely shares his thought or emotion with others. His behavior illustrates Fromm's orientation. The answer? Hoarding. Yan. So rather than valuing things outside themselves, hoarding characters seek to save that which they have already obtained. Number 19. Fromm uses the term necrophilia to refer to letter D, any attraction to death. The term necrophilia means love of death and usually referred to as sexual perversion in which a person desires sexual contact with a corpse. However, Fromm used necrophilia in a more generalized sense to denote any attraction to death. Necrophilia is an alternative character orientation to biophilia. And the last number, Fromm regarded Adolf Hitler as the world's most conspicuous example of a person suffering from the syndrome of decay. Yan. Fromm regarded Hitler as the world's most conspicuous example of a person with the syndrome of decay, possessing a combination of necrophilia, malignant narcissism, and incestuous symbiosis. Hitler displayed all three pathological disorders. He was attracted to death and destruction, narrowly focused on self-interest, and driven by an incestuous devotion to the Germanic race, being fanatically dedicated to prevent its blood from being polluted by Jews and the other non-Aryans. And that's the end of our drill for today. I hope may natutunan ka. Mag-share and mag-subscribe na rin by clicking the subscribe button and hit the notification bell for updates on our drill. Keep safe and have a nice day.